Hey everybody, it's Adam Cardinal, Cardinal and Company team at HomeSmart. You are about to watch Home Buying 101 series sponsored by TMF Shamrock Home Loans. Great informative series, many parts to this. Check them all out. If you have any questions about this series, feel free to call us right down at the number below and enjoy watching the video. Hey world, it's Adam Cardinal, Cardinal and Company team. I am here at HomePro Inspections today with Hank Richter. Hey Hank.
Adam, how you doing?
Good, how are you? Thank you for
good,
doing
sir.
this today.
Thanks for coming to my office.
Yeah. So this is the next segment of the Home Buyer 101 series, Home Inspections. This is the man, the myth, the legend. This is the person we wanted to talk to, so we hounded him for weeks and we got him, just for you. Hank, how long has your company been around here in Rhode Island?
So we started in 1999. That first year I was by myself. I did 7 inspections. It was a tough market to break into. The next couple of years we did 50 inspections and then we kind of broke through that and we're up at 300. I was a single man operation until probably about 2016, 2017. I had a second inspection at that time. I scaled back again, and then about 3 years ago I brought my daughter on, Mackenzie, and we scaled up, and so now we have 4 teams. We do well over 1,000 inspections a year. We cover all of Rhode Island. We do commercial, residential, all sorts of different ancillary services that go along with inspections. We're a busy company.
I would say so, yeah. And that's about that time where I was getting into business 2010, 2011, and I kind of saw that progression too. And saw when you brought Jay on. I think Jay was...
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
So Jay came on, and then I saw the evolution, and bringing Mackenzie on is really bumped up all your social media and your presence, and it's amazing.
Well,
it's
I
amazing
kind of had to do it. I was doing 400 or 500 inspections myself every year, and I just needed help. And we found Jay, and Jay is the perfect person for inspections. He's great with people. He knows stuff, and he was sort of our catalyst for hiring more inspectors. And Jay trains our guys and does a great job with them.
And he fits into small places.
Jay fits into small places, and Jay's not afraid to go into those small places, which is hard to get some people to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the biggest things right now, we are seeing buyers are trying to get in the market, because right now we're in 2022. If you're watching this somewhere in the future, the market is crazy. Buyers are bidding well above and beyond. They're willing to name their firstborn child after the seller's dog just to get the place. They're waiving home inspections. Mm-hmm. Why is that not a good idea?
Well, there's a lot of reasons. One is, think about buying a house. People are going into a house that they've seen for 10 minutes and putting their life savings into this house. You test drive a car for a lot longer than you actually see a house. You can take that car overnight. You can take it to your mechanic. There's all sorts of different things you can do with that. You can't do it with your house. And there's a lot of working components that people really need to know about. So we're kind of a walking homeowner's manual, and we'll take people through and show them where things are, where shutoffs are, how things operate, types of maintenance they're supposed to look for, signs that they should look for, aging, that sort of thing. When you waive the inspection, a couple things happen. Number one is you don't get any of that knowledge, so you're really going into your house kind of blind. Number two, from a non-buyer standpoint, but from a realtor standpoint, at kind of that combination, home inspectors are kind of a wall of liability. Seller puts out a disclosure, and who knows if the information's correct. They may not know the information. It may be an estate sale, something like that. But we come in and we can assess things that may not have been on a disclosure, or that may not have been known, or may not have seen. And being able to see that reduces people's liability, both on the realtor side and the seller side. Waiving the inspection, it just puts a lot of stress on this. People are going in. We're doing a lot of post-closing inspections now, which we don't like to call them, but we do call them remorse inspections. And they're getting in and finding out that they have, a $20,000 or a $25,000 nut that they didn't know about. And from a real estate standpoint or a realtor standpoint, there's a lot more lawsuits out there now.
Yes.
People are getting sued. The sellers are getting sued, and the sellers' realtors are getting sued because of non-disclosure items, things that people think that they should have known about or should have been told about. So there's a lot of things that make waiving the inspection not a good thing. Now, I understand that there's circumstances where people feel that they need to do that, but it's unfortunate that happens. The sellers have a lot of, not necessarily pull, but they have a lot of say in what happens, and they can dictate the terms. Not necessarily good terms, though.
Yeah, and you're right in saying this is the biggest purchase in a person's life.
unless you're, some, third generation wealthy, just handed down family, average Joe, you and I, this is the biggest purchase we'll make in our lives. And if you're going to put that kind of money down and gamble that the septic is good, that the well is good, people think, oh, it's what if the water's bad? What if there are so many things that could go wrong, and waiving that home inspection is not a great idea.
Well, and granted, it's another expense in that whole line of expenses. But if you look at the home inspection, we're the smallest fee for the greatest liability in that transaction if they do the home inspection. The amount of things that we can uncover or can see. We like to look at things like buying a house is a bunch of mortgage payments. If you're not willing to spend one mortgage payment on a home inspection, then maybe you shouldn't be buying that house. Maybe you don't have the funds to buy that house. It's an investment. You need to know what you're investing in. As I said before, you take a brand new car to a mechanic to have him look it over. The dealership doesn't say to you, you have to buy this car, you can't take it to a mechanic, you can't test drive it. Yeah. Why should it be different in the real estate industry?
Yeah. I agree.
And we have no say in changing that. So,
yeah. One of the things I really like about your company is we're going to book a home inspection. We give our clients choices of home inspectors. They say, hey, we want to go with HomePro. I can go right online. I can enter all the information right there, the dates, the time. You contact, once that's confirmed, you send the email to the agent, both agents, buyer, seller, listing agent, to the buyer. From there, what can the buyer expect from your company at that home inspection?
Well, let's just back up a little bit, because it's not just going online and being able to stuff. We have a 24/7 call center. You can go online and do it. A lot of realtors, we have apps for them so that they can literally go in and pick out times and stuff. The idea is to make that process as seamless as possible and as timely as possible. There's a very small window there for people to get their home inspections
10
done.
business days in Rhode Island. Yeah.
And that's really not a lot of time. And so we try to make it so that people can do that more quickly. Once we've sent out all those confirmations and we show up at the inspection, we typically bring a team of guys. We have different people that we use for certain specialties that are all top of the line. Our inspections typically take 2.5 hours to go through a typical house. Bigger houses obviously take more complicated houses take more. And then we will also produce your report. If you don't get it the same day, you get it by the next morning. And everything we do is digital. So our photos are digital, our reports are digital. And then beyond that, we have follow-up, where we follow up with you. We have warranty programs. We have all sorts of different things to protect you beyond the inspection. We have a simple warranty program that's 90 days that covers all of your mechanical equipment, things like pest and termite, radon, mold. And then there's other offerings that we can give you that you can have even longer term coverage. So we try to keep up with you. We also send out constant emails so that you don't forget who we are, so that if you do have a question, you can refer back to us as opposed to bothering your realtor. We try to make it easy for all the parties involved.
Yeah, we really love that aspect. We love getting those emails, those reminders, the recall checklists, all that stuff, and our clients love it too. It's
Awesome.
It's an amazing service.
Well, things like the recall check, we take all the model numbers and serial numbers on the mechanical equipment and appliances. We run a database through the Consumer Product Safety Commission to see if anything's had a recall. Now, your client gets that email every single month as long as they own the house. It's free. It doesn't cost them anything. They can cancel it if they want, but there's nothing on there that's marketing. And they can add things to it. They can put new appliances on there. They can take old appliances off. And the nice thing about that system is that in a lot of cases, a consumer will be notified about the recall through our system before the manufacturer even notifies them. If the manufacturer even notifies them. Because some of them look at, what does it cost them to tell the client? What does it not cost them? But you will always get that notification because it comes through the Consumer Product Safety Commission.
Yeah, I love that aspect of it. What are the top items you would say you find in a house an issue? What are those top issues?
A lot of the top issues tend to be minor type stuff. Things like no down piping on the hot water pressure relief valve or the boiler, backflow preventer not having down pipe. Mostly safety type issues. The bigger issues are going to be things like maintaining heating systems, maintaining air conditioning systems, homeowner stuff. When the homeowner does their own work, it makes our job a little bit harder because we have to kind of figure out what was going on in their brain when they did certain things.
The weekend warriors kind of make a mess.
The weekend warriors do make a mess, and unfortunately, it costs them money then to have to fix that sort of stuff. But it's mostly about safety type issues. We want to make sure that if you're moving in that house, that things are functional and safe for you to be able to be in there.
Another thing that I really like with the evolution of HomePro when you were saying you brought on Jay. Is I really appreciate that as on either side. If I'm the listing agent and I see the truck pull up, I'm like, yes. If I'm the buyer's agent, I know you're coming, I'm like, yes. Because inspection companies, well, it's a 4,000 square foot house, they're sending out one person, and it's 3 and 4 hours of why are we here? When you guys do it, I've had one recently. You had the well inspector show up, the heating inspector, the septic inspector, and then you guys are doing the physical, mechanical, and all that, bang that out in 90 minutes because of that volume. So is that why you do that team perspective?
Well, there's a couple of reasons for doing the team inspection. Number one, it's efficiency, speed and efficiency. We try to have everything done at the same time because some of those systems, when we're testing them, are depending on other systems. If we're in the house and we're doing heating and air conditioning, my guys can be checking that as they're going along. If we're doing a well and septic, we want to do both of those at the same time because I want to have a controlled flow from my well into my septic system. I don't necessarily want to run a well twice because we do a 2-hour test. That's taxing on a well. We don't want to do that. We want to be efficient about what we do. The way that we do our inspections as a multiple team is we have one person who walks around with the client and basically does an entire inspection. We have a second person who does the entire inspection but does documentation. My first person doesn't get hung up having to stop all the time and take photos and do all of that. My second person doesn't have to stop and talk minutia. So we're able to move a bit more quickly, but the net effect of that is that we have 2 sets of eyes on the complete house. And we're not splitting our client up. Hey, I got to go take you to the HVAC system and taking things out of order. We try to keep things in a very systematic order. If you've done inspections with us over the years, we have realtors who can recite our lines. They know exactly what pattern we're going to follow and how we're going to do our inspection. And that systematic approach is what allows us to be as efficient as possible.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing, especially in this industry. Time is money. I mean, in any industry, time is money. And then for the buyer, for the seller has to take the kids out, take the dog for a walk, be gone for an hour and a half. The buyer took a lunch break, needs to come to the home inspection. So that efficiency is beneficial for everybody. It's a really great thing. So the inspection's done. It's completed. They're going to get that PDF in their email. Whether it's a pre-listing inspection report or it's during the purchase and sales agreement, that 10 business day window, doing it then. What do they do with their inspection report? What's the purpose of it?
So there's 2 different things there. A regular inspection, if you have that inspection report, that's basically a document that's giving you information on what's in the house. What can you bargain with? There's a distinction between what we do and what a realtor does. We don't do real estate, and we hope that realtors don't do home inspections. What we're doing is providing information so that that client can sit down with their real estate agent and now negotiate and determine what things on the list that we've given them are crucial to them. What's something that they just have to have done, or what's something that they can live with? What's something that seller can do to make the house? What's a safety item? That sort of stuff. There's different versions of that. A pre-listing is a little bit different because that's the seller who's bringing us in to do an inspection on the house to determine if there's issues that they need to address. And there's a lot of pluses for a pre-listing inspection on a seller side. One, it takes away a lot of the stress because now the seller has control of that process. They're not stuck in that 10-day window. So if there is something that they need to do, they can do it in a reasonable amount of time and a reasonable amount of money. A lot of times if you're stuck in that 10-day window, you end up, having Joe contractor who's much, much higher in price do it because it's in that small time window. This gives them a little bit of time. With the pre-listed inspection, the seller can also use that as part of their disclosure. We've had this house inspected. These are the things that we've found. We're not touching anything. We've priced it according to that. We have this inspection report. These are the things we found. We have corrected the following items. Or we've gone out and gotten the numbers for these. We're discounting the price by this amount because we know that it will cover these repairs. So the pre-listing inspection is very different from the home inspection because of the time frame involved. The home inspection, again, it's mostly in that 10-day window where people have to get all of the work done that they want to do in there. The reports that we send have a summary, and we break things out into majors and minors. We use black and blue being our majors. Every once in a while we have a red item, and nobody likes the red items. Remember when you went to school and you used to get the red check, not good. But
I constantly got F minuses, sometimes zeros.
The red items for us are what we consider immediate kind of safety items or immediate things, which we also call them handbrakes. You know, a safety item, there's a gas leak.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a water leak. There's something that just needs to have a plumber there today. There's an electrical leak. What we consider, you know, emergency brake items are things like vermiculite. You know, people don't know what vermiculite insulation is, and it can have asbestos in it, and it requires more research. Federal Pacific panels, you know, those are ones that, you know, they need to be replaced. Underground oil tanks, those kind of things. We try not to find those things, and I don't mean we don't try not to find them, but we hope we don't find them, because those are typically what we call red line items in our report that they need to stand out.
Yeah.
So we try not to have red line items. There's nothing in a house that can't be fixed. It's whether someone's emotionally and financially able to handle the solution.
And I really appreciate that too, that it's a very matter-of-fact approach
Correct.
that you take. It's not an alarmist, oh my, you got vermiculite, come look at the sky is falling. It's not like that. Here's what it is. Let's just take that vermiculite. I had that another time. We thought it was vermiculite, but we had to send for the sample, and then the sample determined that there wasn't asbestos in that brand of vermiculite, which was fine. Hey, we did it. But if we didn't take the time, if it wasn't brought to our attention, we didn't send the sample and we treated it like asbestos, the remedy was going to be $8,000 instead of the test was like $30 to send that test in. But because of the knowledge you gave, we could then do that.
It's all about education, educating the clients on what it is that they have, what they can expect, what are some of the remedies that they can do. Now, we don't generally give pricing because I'm not in those businesses. I don't know what contractor you're using. I don't know what time of the year you're using. I don't know what type of materials you're replacing or, you know, taking out, or what you're going to do. So we don't quote prices. That's not our area of expertise. There are programs that you can have that will do that stuff. We don't happen to subscribe to any of those. We might soon. We've gotten a lot of requests for that, but that's a whole nother little thing.
Yeah. So why is it important, if we're going to do our home inspections, we've got that 10 business day window, why is it important to get everybody there and do it all at the same time?
All these different systems can work together. You know, if I have my guys doing a home inspection and walking around, I want them, as they're going from room to room, to know that the heat is actually working in those rooms, or the air conditioning. If we're doing things like well and septic, we want those things to be done together. We don't want to run a well twice if we can avoid it. We're already going to run it 2 hours for our well test. We want to run a metered flow from that well directly into our septic, so we know exactly how many gallons we're going in there.
You're testing both at the same time.
We're testing both at the same time. Septic systems require a certain number of gallons per bedroom to understand the flow test and see how that system works. It's much easier for us if we're doing all that. The other thing it does, if we're doing all these things at the same time, all of the people that we use know how we do our inspection, and we're all watching each other's testing as it's going on, so that if we do have an issue somewhere, we can easily be on it and quickly fix it or correct it, or, you know, change the stream, whatever it is that we have to do.
Yeah, and again, I appreciate that approach, being there all in at the same time, because I've had in the past, hey, we got a well guy coming this day, we have somebody coming for the septic this day, we have this, and it shouldn't be a 6 or 8 hour process. You should be able to condense it into 90 to...
Or over several days.
Yeah, and you don't want to, yeah.
Now, just so that you understand, I'd love to tell you that 100% of the time that works. But sometimes it just doesn't. With scheduling, you know, we get into the real heavy seasons. Sometimes it's very difficult to get the various specialties at the same place at the same time. 95% of the time we can do it. Yeah. There's that little bit of variance that happens once in a while.
Yeah, and everything works like that.
And unfortunately, that's a realtor inconvenience.
How are all parties benefited? Buying side, selling side. How are all parties benefited by the home inspection process?
So from a buyer standpoint, it's an education. It's, you know, again, it's the taking the car out for a test drive. Well, this is the longest amount of time that a buyer has while we're doing their home inspection to be in the house that they're purchasing. Most buyers have made a decision to buy that house based on 10 or 15 minutes of walking through the house, rushed because there's, you know, 40 other parties behind them, that sort of thing. This gives them the nice 2 hour time to really sit down and look at things. And the buyer also has information going forward as far as what they need to do at the house, what kind of maintenance type things, what should they be looking forward to, what kind of contractor should they use in the future for correcting problems or just maintaining the ones that they have. From a seller standpoint, it's, you know, we're also helping the seller. We're pointing out issues that may have been a problem in that. One thing that happens sometimes in transactions too is, you know, maybe the house doesn't sell and the seller ends up holding the house. Well, the seller now has information about the house or what the issues were. Our reports don't go to the sellers, they go to the buyers.
Yeah.
But our report does go to the buyer and the buyer's realtor, and sometimes the sellers end up getting whatever
They end up sharing it.
sharing it or the issues and stuff. So it does kind of go both ways. From an agent standpoint, we're taking away a lot of the liability from the agents. We consider ourselves sort of a wall liability. We talked about this before. You know, disclosures aren't necessarily filled out properly or truthfully. There's things that people just don't know about their house that we discover that if we didn't discover, they may become items that a buyer would go back after a realtor for. So the wall of liability is a big one for us. And there was a lawsuit way back in the 70s that started the home inspection industry because of that. Long case, I won't go into it. But home inspection came out of reducing the liability for realtors.
Okay.
So
Yeah, it's good stuff to know. In closing, if you could say a number one tip, besides saying don't waive your home inspection, your number one tip to a first-time home buyer, off your, what would you say? Say it's even Mackenzie, it's your own daughter, she's a first-time home buyer right now in this moment. What's your number one tip?
Well, it's two. They sort of go together. One is attend your inspection, and number two is read your report. The amount of times that we get a phone call about something, and I'll open up the report, and it's right there on page, page 23. Read your report. Most of the times, the information is contained right within there. But people are so, I don't want to say necessarily time sensitive, but they don't have time for stuff.
Yeah, the attention spans
The
gone.
attention spans are gone, and you really need to sit down and read them. We do our report so that it has a summary. And one of the things we learned is that we used to put photos on the summary page. Well, now we don't do that anymore. Now we put the summary items and we put a notation that says where the photo is because we want to force people to go in and read the report.
Yeah.
People weren't going beyond the summary pages. So it's a big purchase. Do the steps that you need to do. Follow the advice of your realtor. Read your reports that you get. You pay a lot of money for that report. You should read the various reports that you get in on your home. And a lot of stuff will give you information for going forward.
Awesome. Hank, thanks so much.
All right.
We're here at HomePro Inspections today. You've been listening to Hank Richter with this great information. This series is brought to you by TMF team at Shamrock Home Loans. Call them for all your home loan needs. Call us for all your real estate needs. Call Hank and HomePro for your inspection needs. Adam Cardinal, Cardinal & Company team at HomeSmart. See you next time.